Two desperate teams in their last league game of the World Cup. One former champion, the other, of course, champions of 1992. Two very exciting teams. Unfortunately, things haven't worked out for them. They are playing in the city of joy. No joy for them at the World Cup. Two delightful experts on Cricbuzz Live. The amazing Zaheer Khan and the straight shooter, Michael Vaughan. You've been working very hard, focusing on every ball of the World Cup from a beautiful villa in Goa, have you, sir?
Not every game from there. When you make me work so hard, I need a break as well at times.
And so good to have you back, Zach, for the business end. And Michael Vaughan has been looking for the next gully cricket star from Mumbai, have you?
Yeah, on the way in, my driver was going down a road and I saw there was a game of cricket in the middle of the road, as you do. So I got out and just filmed it. Some talent left down the whack one over extra cover for 6, and then the mopeds came across the pitch. So when they were running their runs, they had to be aware of the motorbikes, which is, I guess, cricket in the middle of the road. But yeah, Mumbai's great. I like to see passion and energy and life being enjoyed, and to seeing cricket played in the middle of the road. We don't get that in the UK. they would tell us off for playing cricket in the middle of the road. Here it's just get on with it and have a game.
If it happened in the UK, the team would be doing better at the World Cup in India.
Yeah, you could say that, yeah. I mean, but the passion for cricket here is just slightly bigger than it is in the UK.
Well, we had to send a few security guards to get Michael Vaughan back in the studio because I know he gets mobbed as the Ashes winning captain. And so good to have the two of you back. England versus Pakistan it is. Two teams that most people had as part of their plans, Zach. It's been a bit of a disappointment for neutral observers as well.
Yeah, but look, that's how the World Cup goes. And we often speak about how important that start of the tournament is for every team. If you lose momentum, or if you're failing to make that kind of a play at the beginning of this kind of tournament, then the pressure just keeps mounting on you. And that's something which we've seen with England. I think England is a great example of that. Pakistan, to a certain degree, they've tried to revive, but maybe it's a touch too late for them. Because today's ask is also going to be a big one. For England, I think it's all about playing for pride and then maybe not missing that spot on Champions Trophy, which is going to be just in a year's time.
Everyone who's reasonably decent at mathematics in Pakistan has been typing away on their calculator trying to figure if there is any way Pakistan can make it through to the semi-finals. Here, take a look at this impossible-looking equation. Michael Vaughan will try and make sense of this for us.
Yeah, so if Pakistan bat first, and I really hope they do, I don't think they've ever got past 400 in a one-day game. So they have to get past 400. Say they get to 400, they then have to restrict England to 112. If they only get 300, they're going to have to bowl well because they can only allow England to get 13. If Pakistan are batting second, well, you pretty much see the numbers there on the screen. If England get 300, they've got to chase it down in 6.1 overs. Say they bat really badly, England, which is possible with the way that they've played in this World Cup, and get 200. Again, it's got to be chased down in only a few overs. There's the England playing 11. That's been announced. We're going back to the numbers, to the playing 11. But look, Pakistan, I think of the two teams, Pakistan have played better than England. England have been a real disappointment. They are the champions. I look back at that decision, Harris Routh against South Africa. The LBW went against Pakistan. If that had gone in the way of Pakistan, I think they might have been sneaking into the semi-finals. So you look at performance, and there's been controversy, there's been resignations, pressure on Babar Azam. They're saying he hasn't played well. We're talking a millimetre.
Yeah.
If that decision had gone the way of Pakistan, I'm pretty sure, would have made the semis.
Zach, it would be a fallacy to just look at that one moment, right? A lot of things have gone wrong for Pakistan. It's not like they came here with a bad team. This is a pretty good team on paper and on potential. Things just haven't worked for them.
Look, when the margins are small, then, it comes down to these small little aspects as well. And you kind of just keep going back in that moment where you thought that things would have been completely different. I mean, don't go too far. Look at the top of the tables. India, that first game, having lost 3 wickets for nothing, reviving that. Had that game gone the other way around, I keep saying that, throughout the World Cup, I've been saying that. But that game was so crucial, and that's so important to start the tournament well. Now, when you're looking at Pakistan right now, if England have opted to bat first, then
which they have.
Yeah, which they have. I just checked it on our app. So it's just going to be very, very difficult for Pakistan because their bowling in the tournament have not been firing. They've been batting well maybe at some stage. How they've revived their campaign is with the bat. Fakhar Zaman getting in and scoring those big runs. So for today's game, if they have to give themselves any chance from the equation which we were showing earlier, bat first was their best chance.
Yep.
Now they're bowling first. That just diminishes their chances to another level.
England's big boss, Rob Key, I think he has England's men cricket, if I'm not wrong, and he's here, I've been told. He's the director of cricket, I've been told. What's that conversation likely to have been between him and Butler? Do you see wholesale changes? What's he like? And what's his attitude to running cricket?
Well, he's done a good job. I mean, more so with the Test team. It's funny with English cricket. We're either really good at Test cricket or really good at white ball cricket. That's been the case in the last few years. We can't kind of marry the two up together. So putting Baz McCullum in, Ben Stokes as the Test captain, it's been a great combination.
Yep.
All right, they didn't win the Ashes, but it was a fantastic series, and they are trying to play Test cricket completely differently. The white ball, they won the T20 World Cup, but you got to say that was on the back of the old kind of regime. Yes, Matthew Mott came in, but it was all the old players. This was really the first challenge for Rob Key and his team, and Luke Wright, who's the chairman of selectors. This was a challenge for the 50-over team where they've come and it's not been good. From selection, the Harry Brooks situation pre-tournament, he was out, then he was in. It was a bit of chaos. The contracts have been something that I've spoken quite a lot about. I just don't agree with handing out contracts 2 weeks into a World Cup and there's 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. David Willey, who's been the pick of the England players, hasn't even got one. That has to affect morale in the team. So Rob Key now has a decision to make, that he's got to get together with the management and try and work out the reset. Because England, in 50-over cricket, they do need a reset. David Milan yesterday in the press conference, he said this could be his last 50-over game. He's realistic that, he probably thinks that moving forward, England will move out some of the senior players, and they need to. But I don't think a full clear-out is the right way either. I'd be looking for that 2 years going into the Champions Trophy. I would keep certain senior players to that moment. Get rid of a few, the ones that you don't feel are going to go to the absolute 4 years. But someone like Josh Butler, even if he's not 100% sure he's going to play in the next World Cup, if you can get 2 more years out of Josh Butler as a captain going into the Champions Trophy, he's so good at white ball cricket that the new players coming in, the Jamie Smith, the Will Jacks, Ben Duckett's, Phil Salts, I think they'll benefit from playing with the likes of Josh Butler. Yep. Joe Root's a kind of talking point. Does Joe Root still fit in a 50-over side? You look at the amount of sixes that have been hit in this World Cup compared to the last World Cup, and that's the way it's going. You've got to be able to hit sixes. So is Joe Root's style fitting for a 50-over game? So they'll have to make a decision on Joe Root. Then there's the likes of Chris Woakes. Obviously, David Willey's resigned and stepped down. Ben Stokes is already retired once. I can't imagine he's going to carry on after this World Cup. So Rob and his team have got to decide upon 3 or 4 senior pros that he can keep for the next 2 years to bring through the next generation. And then after the Champions Trophy, it might be that you get rid of 2 or 3. It might be that Josh Butler goes then as captain and then gives the next captain 2 years leading into the World Cup. But these are the talking points and the decisions that Rob and his team will have to make over the next week or so. They go to the Caribbean in December, a perfect time to start with the reset. But I just feel that they'll need a few of those senior players just to hang around to try and bring through the next generation of white ball players.
Zach, you've been dealing with teams as well. Things like transition, I suppose, are much easier to talk about in cricket studios. I guess they are tougher to actually implement. How important is it for England to identify the next leader? Wouldn't they do it now than do it at the Champions Trophy in 25?
See, whether it's the requirement of a new leader or it's a requirement of a new approach or it just maybe simplifying things right now. I think what I've seen from this England's campaign is they looked confused. They were not ready for the format. And if you've been defending champions, then you are aware of what kind of cricket you've been playing. How do you approach the 50-over game? I think there are some pieces missing. and a lot to do with the thought process rather than the individuals. Yes, individual form also was not there for many, but there was that basic mismatch of how to approach, or maybe overthinking about approaching the 50-over format, which in England's case, when they revived their whole setup after 2015 World Cup, was not the case. There was a clear-cut message that we want to play white ball cricket in this manner, and we're not going to look at the conditions. But I think in subcontinent, they were maybe thinking about the conditions. They were maybe thinking about the ball is going to grip, it might slow down, whether our approach is the right approach, do we have to make some changes? And that has not helped them. Their bowling has always been on the weaker side. Maybe Jofra in this side would have made the difference. But you look at this in subcontinent condition, Wood also has not had the kind of impact we've seen from the other bowlers so far in the tournament. So that is something which was maybe a little on the weaker side. Batting has not come to the party at all. So that has been the biggest disappointment for them.
At the minute, they don't have a ready-made leader to take over. There's just not one standout individual that you could say, that person is definitely going to be the next England captain for the next 4 years. So I don't think you can make that decision now. Yeah. It's also the combination with the captain and the coach, which is crucial. You look at Trevor Bayliss and Owen Morgan, you look at Ben Stokes and Baz McCullum, that combination is key. Yeah. At the minute, Joss Butler and Matthew Mott have won a World Cup. They're a combination that have lifted a trophy. Yeah. They've won the T20 World Cup. That is up for grabs again in a few months' time. So surely that combination carries on till then. So don't decide upon a future leader without deciding upon, because that combination is so crucial that you almost want to make the decision together. Yeah. And if they get to the Champions Trophy and it doesn't go so well, Matthew Mott, will he survive that long? We'll have to wait and see. But I like it when you almost kind of pick both together. You kind of get a captain that's going to work with a coach, because that combination is so crucial. If that doesn't work and there's a dynamic difference or a character difference, you're not going to get a team playing to the maximum. So I'd just believe in it if I was Rob Keane's team.
Well, they will need to look at the bigger picture, the macro view, and pressing the panic button, I suppose, never really helps. What's the 11 like? England have won the toss and they've chosen to bat first. Let's take a look at their playing 11s. First up, we've got England. Has Harry Brook come in? Yes, no? That's a big question. No Harry Brook, Michael.
No, he's in. He's there.
Sorry.
He plays the same team. England.
Same team.
When they win, they just go again, and they've been quite consistent with their kind of selection in the last few games. It was chaotic in the first few games, but Gus Atkinson played in the last game. It's good to see him getting a second game on the trot. Wokes was excellent with bat and ball. Willie's been consistent. He was very good once again with the ball. Rashid has been really good for England for many, many years. But I always believe when Rashid's bowling well for England, particularly in the middle overs, and he's getting wickets, that's when England are at the best. He bowled well against Australia, and he obviously bowled well against the Netherlands. With Moeen Ali, Moeen Ali's record in India is poor. I think he's played 11 games. He's only got 4 wickets, which is a poor return for an off-spinner on Indian pitches. But he was good against the Netherlands, and that's a real key combination. That Adil Rashid, Moeen Ali, spin-twin combination in the middle is so important for the white ball team. We
will go to Adil Rashid in just a bit. Just a quick confirmation of what Pakistan have gone in with. I've just been told the one change that they made is Shadab Khan has come in for Hassan Ali Zak, Kolkata.
I mean, when you're looking at this team, it's a clear-cut message that they wanted to win this game with the bat. They were planning to bat first because you have Agha Salman batting at number 7.
Yep.
And then you added Shadab, thinking that, okay, he's also going to contribute with the bat. So the planning was very clear. I think the toss has not gone their way.
Yeah.
Pakistan's so
England have spoilt it, haven't they? They've spoilt the fun.
They've just given that big blow at the toss itself, which Pakistan were completely dependent on that. I think no matter what the conditions, they wanted to bat first. You look at that playing 11, go with that approach, give yourself the best shot. Because if you get, say, their starting point is 450 runs if they had batted first.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. But still there is some hope. And then you restrict the team at 160. It's still realistic kind of approach to have.
So they now have to bowl England out for 100. So their mindset has to be.
No, chase it down.
I'm just looking at how many overs is it? How many overs if they are chasing 100?
Yeah, if they score 300. If England score 300, the winning side has to do it in 6.1 overs.
But what about 100? Yeah. So they have to think about bowling
2.5. Not
right. So It's not easy, is it?
It doesn't even happen in
It's not easy.
It doesn't happen in book cricket either.
No, you won't, I don't think you can get those kind of numbers on the street that I've just seen a game being played.
See, what's the number of fastest 100? Like fastest 100 in how many?
40 balls for
40 balls.
individual Glenn Maxwell, which is pretty much six overs and 4 balls. So, no, it's not possible, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, I suppose we'll look at the positives for Pakistan. They'll want to end this World Cup on a winning note. I suppose they'll take that as a happy consolation. But to depend on other results and such bizarre, near impossible mathematical equations is no way to climb up the ladder. You wouldn't want that to happen. I mean, every team has 9 games to play.
No one wants that for sure, but somehow, in tough competitions, you get in situations like this.
Yeah.
The game against Afghanistan, they will look at all those kind of games. Afghanistan has had a great World Cup, and because of that, we are seeing all these kind of equations. Otherwise, usually you see teams on roll and they just get through.
Yeah.
You've seen Australia reviving their campaign. They didn't start the campaign that well, but they are in a decent position right now. South Africa also have lost to Netherlands. So you've seen a lot of upsets in this World Cup, and that's why as a tournament, so far it's given you that glimpse of being a highly competitive World Cup.
Yep.
Because till yesterday, you had many teams having a chance of qualifying for the semis.
Well, in Pakistan, though, will look back at this World Cup. There'll be a fair bit of post-mortem that will happen at the end of this World Cup. On television shows, it's already started to happen. Now, that's another extreme that we won't get to. But one of the positives there, one of the younger fast bowlers, Mohammad Wasim Jr., Zach, as a premier fast bowler, what have you noticed about this young man? He's done well so far.
I think he's great at the back end. That's something which strikes you right away. His ball constantly, you'll see that slight dip at the end, which works in his favor, because then batters cannot just line you. That is the advantage which he has. So yeah, I think the Pakistan will have to look back and think maybe when they went to for Hassan Ali, that time they could have thought differently. They were kind of stuck. See, with Fakhar it worked, but with Wasim, someone like Wasim Jr., they could have brought him in the tournament earlier, especially when Naseem got injured and was out of the World Cup.
I reckon that one of their big mistakes was Shaheen Afridi at the start. He wasn't fit. There was no way he was fit. He was bowling at 82 miles an hour. It took him a few games to get into his stride. And you look at the amount of games that Wasim Jr.'s played, he's played 3. So maybe he could have played at the start while Shaheen Afridi was getting fit. So you look at like the selection, the management of individual players. I think Pakistan, if they win today and they get to 10 points, I'm not saying that they're not going to get criticised, because they will. They've not qualified for the semi, but there's enough in the tournament for them to look back on and think, wait a minute, we won 5 games. The Afghanistan game is again that they should have won, and that decision against South Africa. So I don't think, I watch the Pakistan shows quite a lot just to kind of have an indication of, they're brutal. I don't think they've been as bad as they're saying.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think they've been, they can play better. Of course they can, but I don't ever think that they're ever as bad as some people are saying. And Babar Azam he's not got 100, and he's a world-class player. So yes, he should have got 100. But again, I think he's got 284 runs. It's not disastrous. Joss Buttler, the England guy, I think he's got 111 runs.
Yeah.
111 runs as England's greatest white ball. I have him as England's greatest white ball batter. So you imagine, the kind of, we're not crucifying Joss Buttler. We're just saying he's had a bad time of it. He'll be the first to admit that. But you think about what they're doing to Babar Azam in Pakistan. I find it absolutely bizarre how critical they are of Babar Azam, which his team are not that far away. They're not far away, not saying to win the tournament, but they're certainly not far away in terms of what they've done in this World Cup.
Mohammad Wasim Jr. will, once he goes back home, he'll look back at the World Cup and say, I played only 3 games, but I did all right.
Yeah. And on this venue, we saw the reverse swing against Sri Lanka.
Yep.
Day game. Bowling in the day for Pakistan. Let's see if they can get a bit of reverse swing against England. Don't know what kind of pitch it's going to be, but we've seen spin. We saw Jadeja get 5 on this venue for India. So if it's that kind of pitch and it's a little bit grubby and a little bit dusty, Pakistan will bowl well on it.
Let's now talk about the talisman of England, Ben Stokes. Is this going to be his last one-day international for England? He was brought back. One school of thought was that he should have, when the campaign was pretty much over, he should have gone for his operation much earlier. But he was of the opinion that he needs to stay with the team. He said, I'm not going to leave my
Yeah.
team. What do you make of that?
Well, that's Ben. Absolutely all over. He's just not going to leave a sinking ship. So I admire him hugely for making that decision. I just look at it from a test kind of level that he's so important for the test team. You know, he's led the test team with distinction. He's just been incredible for England in terms of test match cricket. That combination with Baz McCullum, the way that he's got England playing test cricket, you know, I'm not just saying it, I think England are the team to watch in test cricket. They're entertaining. They try and score at 5 and over. When they're in the field, they put fielders in funny positions. It's genuinely entertaining. So I just want him to be fit for that tour in January, which starts late January. And I've had 4 knee operations. I don't know if you've had any knee operations, and they take time, particularly the older you get. And what he's been now, 33, 34. You know, the longer that you leave an operation, the less time you've got to come here in India. And he'll have to have a very, very strategic, disciplined rehab program, because if he has that operation in 2 weeks' time, I've no idea what's wrong with the knee. And I think they're going to go in and have a look. And if it's bad, you know, can he get back? It'll be around 6 weeks before he goes to India. And then you're looking at probably another 10 days. So he's probably got about 8 weeks to get ready for that first test. And he's so important for the test team. And that's the only reason why I said, oh, get on the plane and get back. I want him to be fit for that test series. Because without Ben Stokes in that test series, you know, I don't give England any chance. With Ben Stokes, I give them a small chance, but only a small chance because they're playing India in India.
Zach, for a player like Ben Stokes to be called back clearly shows that England still felt that they cannot maybe do well at a World Cup without him. A, did you agree with that decision from the outside? What's your observation of England trying to get Ben Stokes back, one, and B, the impact of a player like that? He's not the designated captain, but senior players like him can really get the team going.
See, when you are in that position, actually, there are no right decision or wrong decisions. You know, it's only the hindsight which you look at, right? Like, you know, imagine if Ben Stokes would have had a great World Cup here. He's come to the party, and like how Travis said, how he was carried by Australian team, and then when he announced, when he came into the playing 11, he just went all guns blazing. When these decisions comes off, you know, they look spectacular. When they don't, you know, everyone is just going to criticize you. I think, you know, that's the kind of position you always in. So it's about the team's requirement. You know, it's about the think tank of the team. I'm sure with Joss and the selectors and the directors, everyone must have sat together. They would have identified. And I think, you know, that's one thing which stands out for me from England's campaign, and I've been saying it time and again, is that overthinking. I think they've thought too much about the conditions, about the World Cup, about how they want to approach it. And I think in the process, they've just overcooked the dish, and it just got spoiled in the process.
But on Ben Stokes, I mean, the last 2 games, Australia and the Netherlands, you know, he's the one that performed. You know, he got 60 off 90 or 64 off 90 against Australia. Against the Netherlands, they were 190 for 6. You know, they were panicking. You know, Moeen Ali just played an awful shot, and suddenly Ben Stokes, once again, he produces innings. There's one cricketer, if you look back at England in the last 6 or 7 years, in any big game, the one player that stands up is Ben Stokes. That is the reason why they wanted him back in this World Cup. There's his World Cup average of 48, 44, 220, 100. Played the 5 games. He got injured at the start, which it's never easy when you miss a few games at the start and then you come back into the side. So he's Mr. Dependable. When the pressure's on, England need a performance. You're pretty much guaranteed that Ben Stokes will produce something.
Robke referred to him as the spiritual leader. I think Matthew Mott, referred to him as the spiritual leader of this group. Is he going to be part of England's white ball plans going forward?
No.
Next year there's a T20 World Cup?
No, T20 maybe. 50 overs, no. You know, he'd retired before the World Cup. They dragged him back for this one. He can't be fit in 4 years' time. I can't imagine he's going to play in another 4 years. So, no, I think this will potentially be Ben's last game for England in 50-over cricket. Incredible performance to they've done so well for England, but it is the right time probably to move him on. They'll want him for the T20 World Cup potentially. Obviously, he was the star of the final against Pakistan in Melbourne. He just got England over the line. So when you've got a player like Ben who can just deliver... You know, if he's fit for that T20 World Cup, yes, you want him in it. But do I see him playing in the 50-over game? Not after this World Cup, no.
Shaheen Afridi will have the responsibility of going after the big guns of England. Shaheen Afridi, as Michael said, he didn't look fit at the start of the World Cup. What have you made of Shaheen? The wickets are there,
Yeah.
but are those good wickets? Have they been impactful wickets from Shaheen Afridi?
A little patchy. I think his form has been patchy right throughout the World Cup. Yes, he did get wickets, but the timing of the wickets at times is that when the batter is going hard after you, and in the process he loses his wicket. So those numbers at the top in the first block, that's the kind of impact you have as a bowler. And if you are able to do that consistently, then you're talking. Back end is something again you give importance to, but for a fast bowler, if you're doing that kind of a role, you always look at the new ball and what kind of impact you're making. You look at Bumrah, you look at Siraj. That first 10 overs, getting the opponents to 2 wickets
Yes.
is something which you look at collectively. Now, are you contributing? You've seen it with Sri Lankan bowler also. Madhushanka, he was consistently doing that. You've seen it with Australian bowlers. They've been doing that. And Shaheen Afridi have that ability. He has that ability to make that kind of impact. But the kind of bowling performances we've seen, especially with the new ball from him, have been below par. And that's why the pressure was always on the bowling side. That's why they've not been looking the kind of bowling side which we've been rating them. Yeah. As a whole, they've had average, as a bowling unit, they've had an average campaign.
When you look back at this World Cup, would you just look at the numbers and say, well done, or do you say glass half full?
For
glass half
Shaheen?
empty?
Yeah, I think the impact at the start is where he's known for. He's known for getting wickets in the first over. He's known for getting 2 or 3 wickets in the power play, putting the opponents on the back foot. His numbers at the back end are fantastic. Yep. He's averaging 15 in the last 10 overs, so he's clearly seeing out the innings really well. In the middle, he's creating impact by getting wickets, but we're all always a bit greedy, aren't we? we want the perfect bowler that can do it at the start, in the middle, and at the end. It's very rare that you get all 3 kind of zones absolutely spot on as a bowler. Yep. But he's still up there with the best. When his pace is up at the start, that's why I said at the start, he was playing at 81, 82 miles an hour. Give me Shaheen Afridi bowling 81 now, but when he gets to 85 to 88, he's a completely different proposition, because it does it later with a bit more zip on it, and that's when he's going to get his wickets. So it's all about his paces. When he's really charging in and getting those paces up, I'm pretty sure that that's when he has his best impact on the game.
How does England deal with Shaheen Afridi?
Just try and whack him.
Go for it.
Absolutely, yeah. England that's the one disappointment of this England side, is that they've almost not played the way that they have played for the last 7 years. It's always been about aggression, getting on the front foot. Johnny Bairstow's been a huge disappointment, because he is that aggressor at the top of the order. He pretty much always used to bank on Johnny. Jason Roy, he'd go out there and cause chaos. Within the first 5 or 6 hours, England would get to 50 or 60, they're off and running. And then Joe Root would come in at 3, no pressure on, he can just play. And then obviously the firecrackers would follow him. But Johnny Bairstow, I would have Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, Joss Buttler and Ben Stokes in England's greatest ever white ball team. And when you look at the numbers of Bairstow, Root and Joss Buttler, there lies the problem to why England have not produced really good performances.
David Malan wasn't mentioned on that bit, but he's been among the runs. One big 140 as well, and he's used all his experience, 36 years old, understands pressure at the big stage, Zach. It's been a terrific performance. How do you see Malan going up against Shaheen Afridi, the Lone Ranger?
Well, he's going to bat the way he's batting, and he's one of the batters who is in form for England, so they would want him to continue with that form. Malan, Root are these 2 anchors which England have. Malan is not someone who's going to look to just put bowlers under pressure. He would look to bat at 100, 115, that kind of strike rate. Yeah. And if he's doing that, the others around him, including Johnny Bairstow, Livingston's, Moeen Ali, they can bat freely then. So that's the kind of role which he's been playing. So for England, it's always about Malan and Root playing that anchor role for them to get to the total which they're looking at. But for everything, you need Johnny Bairstow to have that impact at the top and create that chaos which Michael is talking about, to put bowlers into that mindset where they're thinking defensive. Yeah. I think that's something which has been the key. As an opponent bowler, if Malan is batting, you're not going to ever get scared, like, oh, Malan is batting today, and you have to be watchful. But around what happens, so Malan's presence is more important for England batters than the opposition.
You like what he's done so far?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a good player. I think his numbers are always very, very good. But the one thing I say is, and I think it's the whisper around the English kind of game, is that does he win you the game? You know, you look at his numbers, you know, against Bangladesh, he gets a big 100. England were always going to beat Bangladesh, you feel.
Yeah.
The Netherlands, he gets an 87. Against the top teams, does he win you the game? You know, Jason Roy, when he was at his best, he used to win England the game. And I think that's the kind of whisper around the England, not the camp, but English cricket as a whole, is have they lacked Jason Roy's kind of aggressive nature at the top of the order? Because he's got, and I don't think Jason's playing anywhere near what he was a few years ago, but Jason at his best certainly brought a little bit more to the England white ball team, and that's the debate. In terms of numbers, David Milan numbers do not lie. His numbers are ridiculous in T20 cricket and 50-over cricket, and I always feel that you earn the right. You earn the right to get that opportunity, and when your numbers are so good, he had to have been picked because he was scoring runs. I think he's averaging over 50 in 50-over cricket, which is ridiculous. I think we were talking about Zadran yesterday. Yes. There's only a few that are averaging over 50. And I think Milan's one of those. You know, you have to give him that opportunity. But the great debate is, does he win you the game? You know, that's that great debate in a pub, chatting over a beer. Milan, do you like watching him play? Yes. But has he won them the game? And that's what really great players do. They single-handedly win their team the games. And that's a great talking point in the UK about David Milan.
At 36, he's possibly playing his last one-day game for England. From what Michael Vaughan said, the Roy factor missing for England. The joy factor is never missing. On Cricbuzz Live, let's take a look at what that question is for today. Which World Cup coach and player both have an ODI batting average of over 50, with the coach just one position behind the player? It's a tough one. Is he referring to a player and a coach in action at this World Cup? Maybe that's the cue. Maybe that's the clue. So work with it and send in your answers with hashtag Joy Factor, and we'll try and announce the winner at the end of our coverage tonight. Predictions, gentlemen. England batting first.
I think it's going to be 320.
Okay.
290.
311. In the middle. Safe bet, as always. That is it. It's pretty much curtains for Pakistan, but they'll want to say goodbye to India and the World Cup with a win. Can they? Will they? We'll find out. Enjoy the innings. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox after 15. Bye for now.